lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Good evening, everybody. What's going on? It is June 30th, almost end of our June time, almost into the July time. So celebrating the 4th and freedom and all that stuff coming up. But you're tuned in. You're tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box. It's a podcast that you're downloading or watching live, wherever it is you like to watch us live. But I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we are in the studio, man. We saw 2 movies this weekend, and we're going to talk about those movies. We're going to have an exciting conversation about just stuff that's happened in the past week in news. And if you are downloading this podcast and not knowing what's going on, we have a live chat that's going on. I actually got up here super early and was streaming on Twitch, which you can follow us along, Drive-In Speaker Box on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. And we go live every Monday at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So, Vince over on Twitch, he just said in the comments saying the Drive-In Speaker Box celebrating your independence from other lame movie shows. Because trust me, there are lots of them now. There's so many lame movie shows these days, and we are not those guys. Maybe sometimes we're those guys, but for the most part, we're into the thousands of episodes of not being those guys. So welcome to it. So what we like to do first is do some news. Some things happened over the past week. A lot of people talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, early reviews coming out, some trailers dropped, some other stuff. You always have a list. What do you got going on, Jake?
I actually don't this past week. There wasn't so much news. It was all like a director says this about his 30-year-old movie and blah blah blah. There wasn't that much, but something that was in the news is that they're talking the next Fast and Furious movie.
Oh, I saw this, and Vin Diesel had 3 criteria.
His three criteria, which is it has to come home to L.A. again, and it has to be returned to the car scene. It has to celebrate the car culture.
It's like they can go into space for a minute, but it has to be launched from L.A.
And then the third craziest part of this is that Brian O'Connor has to make a
Paul
return.
Walker.
Yeah, Paul Walker's character has to come back because the series has to end with Dom and
The way
Brian
they
reunion.
began.
So I don't know how they plan on doing this and it looking
Or
okay.
doing it tastefully.
Exactly. Because when Paul Walker had passed and they shot some scenes with his brothers to be able to allow his character an exit, and the only time that they really had his face anywhere that wasn't really him was at the end of the movie, and they had the super sad thing where he took off one direction and Dom took off the other, and all of us wept, and the theater was just a sea of tears and strong feels, and it was a good send-off, and everyone's like, wow, that was good.
Yeah, we didn't need anything more than that.
And ever since then, they're like, well, he's a family man. He's doing his family thing. But then they brought Mia back in the last one. It's like, well, so now he's a stay-at-home dad while Mia's coming back to do all the action, and it doesn't make sense.
He's abandoning family.
Yeah, so now they're having to bring him back, and I don't know that that's going to work.
It's going to be bad. It's going to, yeah.
And I think
because the last few have been so good.
Well, a lot of no, dude. Even remember how much I used to love and defend Fast and Furious,
Yes,
and then it just
what was it? Not
got
the last
to the point
one, but
where
I think
you
it was
can't.
the one before that, you were like, I can't defend this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah, it was 9.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious 9. I just made it where you can't. And then 10 did no more favors.
Nope.
It did bring in Alan Ritchson, which was cool. But the rest of it was...
He's always fun.
Yeah, of course. Dude, Blue Mountain State was so good. Fast and Furious, Paul Walker is set to make his return. even though it makes no sense and will probably not be.
This isn't new movie news because it's about a movie that's in theaters right now, but I skipped seeing Megan 2.0. Okay, I didn't go watch it, and I was like, well, maybe that's for the best, and maybe it's not my kind of movie. But I was reading something online today that made me want to see this movie because there is a lot of tribute to Steven Seagal in this new Megan, where she like downloads a bunch of Steven Seagal movies.
Oh, how does she win against the evil robot if she's learning from Steven Seagal?
Through Steven Seagal moves. And I'm just like, that is the most hilarious thing. And of all the people, of all action heroes to make deep cut references on, the audience of Megan fans probably have no frame of reference to who Steven Seagal is, except for maybe a meme where the dude's like getting his arm broken, and I bet they probably pulled that whole scene off. But I thought that was kind of funny, and I'm like, maybe I want to go see this movie now.
I mean, if you were talking, like early Seagal, like Under Siege type stuff, where he was like, I lived in Japan and I trained because I was like the
chef,
the sweeping the dojo boy, and then I learned martial arts. And he choreographs his own movies, and he's like, no, that's not how an arm would break. I would do it like this. Snap. That was when Seagal was kind of cool, early on the scene in his first handful of movies before he just stopped doing...
Anyway, maybe I'll see Megan 2.0 now. I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, it was already T2, and that's kind of cool.
That's kind of fun. But did you see the trailer for Project Hail Mary?
No.
We were talking about it a little bit earlier in the show. So Phil Lord and Chris Miller getting together and doing an adaptation of the Project Hail Mary novel, which was written by the same author of The Martian, Andy Weir. And it looks like it could be a really, really interesting and fun movie. It's Ryan Gosling, who's the main character. It's about a kind of an educator who gets sort of tasked with saving the world and being on a rocket ship to go see why all these stars are burning out. But the book, when it came out, was very shrouded in mystery of what the MacGuffin of the book was. So readers got to like we were just talking about being surprised. You got revealed in the book of what's going on, and this movie took that away because it's in the trailer. So in the trailer, he encounters alien life. So unlike The Martian, it is very, very different in the fact that this story is not based in reality. The Martian isn't really either, but they use a lot of science.
Yeah, it's like because when it came out, it had all those reviews of like, yeah, every bit of this is plausible and real science and could be true in this scenario. And that was the thing that made The Martian so good, was that it was grounded in reality, but it was like very near future technology. It wasn't anything that we like don't necessarily have already and made it work. Oh man, The Martian's such a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. Furious Apology on Twitch just said the Hail Mary audiobook adaptation is excellent. So, if you don't want to read that book, you want to listen to that book, I highly recommend it because that author writes really, really great science fiction. So you should check it out. I'm actually, speaking of science fiction, I'm churning my way through the Murderbot Diaries book because I just started watching Murderbot on the show that's on Apple TV Plus, with Alexander Skarsgård as the lead role, and it's kind of fun. So I just finished the first book. It's very short. It's only like 8 chapters. Gonna make my way through the second one, and hopefully that series will pick back up and do another season, because so far I've been digging it. It's kind of hard to find good sci-fi these days.
Well, you know what? Before we get too far away from Steven Seagal-esque things, there was some news about the live-action Street Fighter movie to be.
More news? Great.
Yeah, so Dan Hibiki kind of has a little bit of a resemblance to Steven Seagal with his ponytail and all of that, and everyone shitting on him for not being a good martial artist or whatever. But Dan Hibiki happens to be my favorite Street Fighter character because Saikyo Dojo is the best. But they've cast a Dan Hibiki. So not only is Dan Hibiki going to be in the movie, they have him cast. And I'm upset about it.
Well, who is it?
Andrew Schultz.
What?
Yeah, so comedian Andrew Schultz from podcast fame or whatever.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah, is set to be Dan Hibiki. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever in my mind at
Okay.
all. As someone who's played Dan in every Street Fighter game he's ever been available in, including Street Fighter 3 Psycho Dojo Edition on Dreamcast, though. Dude, it's the best one. It has like 50 plus characters. It's bad. Did you ever play that one? Because you're a Sega guy.
I was a Sega guy, but I was not a fighter game guy. I played like Soul Calibur 2 is like my dream I didn't play any of the Marvel vs. Capcom.
Soul Cal 2 was not. That was a GameCube era.
That was Dreamcast.
No, it was GameCube and.
Or was it just Soul Calibur that
Yeah,
was
it was
Dreamcast?
Soul Calibur.
Okay, yeah.
The Soul Cal 2 was GameCube, PS2, because GameCube had Link and PlayStation had Spawn, and Xbox had Spawn, and PlayStation had Yoda or whatever it was. Doesn't matter. But yeah, the Psycho Dojo Edition on Dreamcast was like the best Street Fighter ever made on the worst controller ever designed.
I will agree with that. It's the worst. Everybody's like, you want to play Smash Bros? And I'm like, the one game that has so very little like ability to figure out what the hell is going on the world's most stupid controller.
Which one?
Just any of them.
GameCube's the best controller ever made.
What?
Oh yeah, GameCube controller.
No,
was badass.
Dreamcast was the best controller.
No, Dreamcast was so uncomfortable. It was thin and sharp, and it was too wide apart, and the buttons were too little.
Thick.
No,
Dreamcast was thick.
overall, but the parts you held were like,
Handles.
yeah, it was bad.
And it had the VMU, so I had a
It
screen.
did. That was cool having the
And it
memory
had the
card
buttons
with the
where you
screen
need 'em,
in
and
it.
the triggers. It was one of the first one to have the like good triggers.
I'll give you the screen memory card was cool.
Sega pretty much invented the analog controller too with the Saturn controller, which was later became the Dreamcast controller. Girl, don't get me started on
Dreamcast
how,
controller is bullshit.
No,
Sucks.
it was fantastic.
But what else is BS is that they have Andrew Schultz as Dan Hibiki. Don't agree with that. Also, what's his story? How are you going to do that with Dan? Like the Tengu and his dad and all of the stuff like with Sagat. I don't know. As much as I like Dan, I don't want him to be in a live action like that. That's going to just get the white people Hollywood BS treatment. So far shaping up to be worse than the first Street Fighter live action movie. Because who do they have? They have like Jason Momoa, and they cast somebody
I don't
as
think Jason
Balrog.
Momoa is capable of saying no to projects.
He's gonna be Blanca.
Of course,
I'm sure.
I mean, why would he not?
I haven't looked at who he's gonna be, but guarantee it's gonna be Blanca. Like it has to be. Who else would he be? Because he gets to go, oh, right, and then
Yeah, and then
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and then electrocute people.
Yeah. So that's dumb. Street Fighter's gonna be dumb.
We don't need fighting game movies.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat gonna be dumb. There's just more stuff about that coming out all the time. Not looking forward to it.
Other movie-related news, not huge news, but there is a new Friday the 13th official thing that's coming on. It is going to be a short film, but it is an official from the people who own the rights. It will be a short film featuring the Camp Crystal Lake Killer of the Friday the 13th fame, as they announced. It's called Sweet Revenge. Mike P. Nelson, who did Wrong Turn, is set to direct. And, it's basically the first official Jason Voorhees content in over 15 years. So that's kind of interesting. And maybe it's the spark of a potential new movie, but they've been kind of keeping the rights to Jason Voorhees kind of under lock and key for a while. So there you go. I thought that's kind of cool. We'll see where it goes. It's probably a tiptoe into the seeing if they can get away with making another one of these, but I think it'd be cool. But I saw that in the news, thought it was neat. Earlier in the show, we talked about, well, not in the official show, but in the pre-show on Twitch. If you follow us on Twitch, you don't have to subscribe. You can just follow. We talked about the New York Times top 100 movies of the 21st century or whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
And we were going through those lists, talking about those. So if you want to check out what we talked about, all the more reason to follow us on Twitch and get some of that exclusive content that you don't get on your podcasts and whatever it is you're downloading us on, or your YouTubes or your Facebooks. I don't even know why we still stream on Facebook. Nobody watches us on there. Like
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You
We
never
do
know.
it. We do it as a courtesy.
Man, that would be very difficult to just the last 25 years of top movies. I don't know that that's been like the best, because cinema was at its best in like 40s, 30s, 40s, and then big time like Western takeoff in the 50s, and then 90s.
Yeah.
Oh man, mid 90s. You had like.
Well, I think that they're just, this is a century. It's a new century, so they're,
That's what I'm saying,
easy way to
since-
cut that list off.
Since 2000, has there really been like?
There's some good ones. There's some good ones. But anyway, more reason to follow us. You can subscribe. We got a link tree, drivingspeakerbox.com. All them things are there. You can get on it. Unless you have any other news, which I don't have a whole lot.
There really wasn't that much.
Well,
Just a
let's-
lot of James Gunn BS crap.
Yeah, I saw a lot of
every
Jurassic
week.
World news. People
Yeah.
getting ready for that. I mean, it's
Mixed.
a holiday weekend, so not a lot of new releases coming out.
Yeah, mixed early reviews on Jurassic World, which comes out Wednesday.
Yes, so that is the new release window here. Almost nothing coming out this week. There's 2 wide releases. Obviously, Jurassic World Rebirth. Heard some early reviews talking about this movie trying to be a return to form, but also kind of fumbling the ball along the way.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was thinking a lot about this earlier today. Like Jurassic World, if I were going to make a movie that was a Jurassic movie, I would make some sort of weird small stakes story that wasn't about like scientists, that wasn't about like cloning people, wasn't about putting lasers on raptor heads, wasn't about like any of this stuff, but maybe it was about some idiots that decide they're going to go to the island, and it's all bad guys, right? And they decide to go to the island to maybe like loot it, right? They're just some stupid bandit like pirates, and like, yeah, man, we're gonna get some rich stuff, and they get talked into kind of doing it, and then they go in there and almost all of them get killed, and then someone just like maybe survives. It has nothing to do with like science or wonder. It's just some people that get stuck on this island and murder, and like turn it into kind of a horror movie. Like make it scary, have some comic relief, have this like group of likable bandits, right, that are all bad guys and they're there for a bad reason. It's kind of heisty, and then they all die because don't go to that island. Don't have kids that are somehow there in the mix like on purpose. I think there's this one there's some dad that's like, let's take our yacht on a family trip to Isle de Nublar and maybe we'll see some dinosaurs. And don't put fucking kids in a Jurassic Park movie like that. That worked the first time. Shame on you, Mr. Hammond. Like you didn't know. No one knew.
Well, and then at the beginning of Lost World, that little girl gets eaten because same thing. They park their yacht, and then there's the little Compsognathuses, the compies, and they come and they just tear her apart. Right.
Yep.
At the very beginning of the movie, first thing you see.
Merle on Twitch just said if it was a bunch of influencers going, yeah, we heard it, we're gonna go down there, and if one of them's an influencer, yeah, that would be fun. I could small scale that, and then you could make it dark and scary, and they're running around, and the jungle like music, and I think it'd be cool. But
right.
These big high stakes insanity, like don't even show the giant like mega D-Dar. What's it, D-Rex? Or
Yeah, the D-Rex with a 6-legged D-Rex. And like Mark Landry saying there on YouTube. Small stake story, like an underpaid IT guy stealing company IP. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Just like the whole thing about the first movie is that it was more horror than anything else. It was suspense, and you didn't need to ramp up dinosaurs. You didn't need to make them bigger and scarier than they already
The movie was
are.
essentially Westworld because, if you think about it,
Westworld
was Michael Crichton.
Yeah, but there was 4 different theme parks, and there wasn't Dino World one
of them. And so Jurassic Park was just an expansion of the concept of Westworld. And again, it was about a theme park malfunction, right? And that's what Jurassic Park turned out to be. So in a sense, yes, it was kind of a small stake story.
Well, yeah, everything was secluded to that island. It was a small group of people. They all get wiped out, except for just a few of them that barely get out. And they have to fight to survive it and everything. But it was a horror movie. You don't need to make dinosaurs scarier than they are, because the idea of these like already larger than life predators existing, and they're like, one thing they want to do is eat you, that's already terrifying enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to make them even further genetically enhanced to where they can turn invisible. Something the size of a T-Rex to turn invisible. You don't need to do that.
Well,
you don't need to have something that is laser guided to go and bite things. You don't need
I've ever seen.
a 6-armed, snub-nosed, like D-Rex thing with like a squishy brain to.
And it's the reason that Jurassic Park doesn't work well after the first one is because when you try to make these plausible stories exist in
Lost
the
World
storyline.
worked.
Lost World worked because it was still technically following the story of the first one. And then, it gets harder and harder to revisit as the world that they built understands that Jurassic Park exists, right? Jurassic Park was still kind of a secret when they were making the first movie. It was still like, hey, this thing that we're doing, it's not national news yet, but come check out what we're doing.
It was the pre-opening. It was like check this out and see if it'll work. Help us to.
So when you're working in that storyline, like everybody that's involved is not prepared for dinosaurs, which makes the tension that much stronger. And when you expand that story out into a world where it's like after the trilogy, the original Jurassic Park books, the whole world knows by the end of it, and it starts to fall apart as a story.
Dina says Lost World worked because it had source material. I'm pretty sure that there was no Lost World until after the Jurassic Park movie, because they told Michael Crichton to write another book for them to make another movie, and they wanted to bring back old Goldblum, and he was like, no, I killed him in the book. And they're like, we'll figure out a way that he can come back. And Crichton was like, never with that.
Let's see, the Lost World book named The Lost World was published in 1995. So the movie came out in 1997, but Jurassic Park 3 came out in 2000. I think Jurassic Park 3 was the one, because it was just Jurassic Park and Lost World were the 2 books. And I think that I think I know what you're talking about.
So the movie The Lost World came. When did Jurassic Park come out though? Because I think it was like 93, 94.
Are you talking about the book or the movie?
The movie.
So the book came out in 1990, and the movie came out not far after. Let's see.
Because I'm pretty. I had
93.
heard. Yeah. So, yeah, Michael Crichton wrote Lost World after the success of the Jurassic Park movie and had the influence of the studio, so it wasn't really like source material to go from, because they made him keep like Goldblum's character alive and all that stuff. That is right. Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, I don't know about that argument, but at the same time, I guess there was Crichton involvement for them to base stuff on. 3 is when it fell apart,
And 3 was them trying to collect bits and pieces from the books and cobble them into a storyline.
Well, having the kid, like the kid that survived and was Tarzan, and he was like, you don't want to know how I got this pee-pee.
Well, again, my point, Stan, is like as it gets to Jurassic World, the world knows about it. And so dinosaurs become a lot less scary when you're a lot more prepared for them. And so when it becomes so implausible. I can't remember which Jurassic World it was where they spent billions of dollars assembling every mercenary you could think of. They would kill every last one of those dinosaurs, no problem. We have the technology. You're not going to get, when you're prepared for dinosaurs, then you go in and you get them. Like the thing that made Jurassic Park and Lost World and even Jurassic Park 3 somehow functional as a narrative is because they were taken by surprise and Jurassic Park was still a secret. And when world governments know about it, then your storyline is stupid because you have broken the rules of the own universe that you've created. And now you have to create these fantastic beasts that have magic powers to like go, okay, well, yeah, modern technology would kick these dinosaurs' asses unless we made them invisible or, something stupid.
Yeah, or Mosasaurus the size of a blue whale.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's coming out this week. It's probably going to make a lot of money this weekend. I mean, it's the 4th of July weekend. Although it's kind of weird because I think the reason that it's coming out on a Wednesday is because they're worried about theater attendance on Friday and Saturday. Because normally,
yeah, who's going to be inside the theater when they can be blowing stuff
up and eating hot dogs and hamburgies. So yeah, that's why we're getting a early release because they definitely do not want this movie to bomb. And I think July 4th being on a Friday is problematic for theater revenue.
I mean, yeah, there's just nothing interesting about it, and I don't know, I feel like a butthole saying this. I don't know that Scarlett Johansson as like your big lead really sells the movie. And then I'm pretty sure they show Mahershala Ali getting eaten in like the trailer as what it looks like. So I mean, I don't know. And it's like you were saying, it's like their people and their job is to hunt these dinosaurs, but they all just get eaten in the trailer, and you're like, well, how good at it are you really?
Yeah, you trained your whole life for this.
Yeah, and the notion of it all is so dumb. I don't know. It's real. The Jurassic franchise really just lost its way entirely, especially when like a blind Therizinosaurus is able to murder the Giganotosaurus. It's like, how does that even make sense?
How did that sentence make sense? Yeah. These are the questions we have.
Therizinosaurus is the one with the big long...
I know what you're talking about. But these are questions we shouldn't have to ask, Yeah. But yeah, anyway, Jurassic World, what is this one called right now? Jurassic World Rebirth. Okay, Rebirth coming out this Wednesday. But also coming out, kind of an interesting movie that's written and directed by R.T. Thorne. It's called 40 Acres. And it's set in this apocalyptic, kind of a post-apocalyptic world. Food is scarce, and there's this black family of Canadian farmers that they descended from American Civil War migrants, and they're defending their home against these crazy cannibals that, I guess, that are out there. There's not a lot of reasoning in the trailer that explains why you're in this post-apocalyptic war zone, but they have these 40 acres that they're surviving on, and these attackers that are also cannibals are trying to infiltrate their property, and they are going to survive. And it looks pretty fun. A cast of no humongous names attached. Danielle Deadwyler is the lead, and she's playing Haley Freeman, and the trailer looks really good. So if we get this in a theater near us, I'm probably going to go see this over Jurassic World. So
yeah, I mean, if I get a different option besides Jurassic World, I might take it. But at the same time, dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs. It's sometimes it's fun just to see a dinosaur that you like on screen.
Yeah, as long as it's like not
something they invented for the movie.
Yeah. Mark Landry on YouTube says that in Jurassic World they should use the DNA to recreate the dinosaurs from the hit TV show Dinosaurs.
Sinclair,
not the mama.
Yeah.
I would watch that, dude. I would just watch any show with giant, enormous costumes anymore. Like that That's what's missing from our world, is these huge, over the top, like, practical effects. Like we need to see more of that. I'm here for it. So anyway, well, that's what's coming out in theaters this week. Well, we need to jump into what we saw. We saw some movies. I guess I can jump into 28 Days, since it's been 28 years. It's been out a little bit longer.
Well, you're doing that. I'm going to sit here and consider where shows like that went, like things that had puppets and costumes, like Alf and Harry and the Hendersons TV show, and dinosaurs, and whatever else may have had some crazy costumed character in it.
There's not many of them anymore. It's sad. But anyway, okay, 28 years later, we're here. We're finally 20 something years, not 28, but close enough, of over 20 years from the original 28 days later and 2007's 28 weeks later. We are now here at 28 years. I keep getting these. It's years. And it follows a story of this group of survivors that are on this little island off the coast of the UK. And it's written and directed, Danny Boyle, Alex Garland coming together, and it's telling. It's a story that's taking place in this world. It's not about the virus. It's about these people that are existing in this world that the virus is just commonplace. And there's this weird parallel, and only because I know Danny Boyle and I've watched I've watched a lot of his movies, and I know how he likes to do storytelling, and this is definitely a springboard to the new trilogy that they're wanting to do. And there's two parallel stories that they're trying to tell, and one of them they're not revealing until the end, but it is hinted throughout the entire movie, which I find to be incredibly distracting by the end of it, which we'll get to that part in a moment. But this movie is taking place on an island where it's like cut off from society. It's like, what if there was a child and a group of people that, as this epidemic continues, they're reverting back in time, becoming a little bit more medieval. There's no internet, there's no phone, there's no pop culture, there's no, it's like a new world, and you're reverting back to these more medieval styles. Then they reference cut, like archers and knights and all these kind of things in there. But there's this parallel storyline that's kind of going along with it through different references and different characters that get introduced when they're not on the island. That's like there is a world that has continued to exist out there that does still have internet and cell phones and probably pop culture and things, but you only get tastes of it, right? Until the very end, and it's extremely jarring, and I'll get to that in a moment. But the majority of this story revolves around Aaron Taylor Johnson and his child, who is playing not Jimmy, because Jimmy's the person I'm going to talk about later. Spike, who's played by Alfie Williams, and Spike he's coming of age, and he is going out to get his first kills of these zombies, and he goes to the mainland. And it gets a little hairy. They discover what an alpha is, as some of the people in the comments have said, like zombie dong. And the alphas all have big dongs, which I guess is very parallel to normal human society. They don't explain the alphas very well, but they're there, and they have big dongs, and they run around. It reminded me a little bit of Attack on Titan, the way they would all run like naked and be crazy.
Hit the Wii button on your side.
I don't have it. It only goes on your side.
Not fair.
But what happens is this interesting emotional story between the son, Spike, and his father, because they have a sick mother, and the father is kind of cheating on the mom. The kid finds out. He rebels against the dad. He's like, I'm going to take my mom to find this doctor that's supposedly out in the woods, which he does find, and that is played by Ralph Fiennes, which is also the best part of the movie.
Why wouldn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the movie is kind of interesting, where as this son and mother are navigating trying to survive and get to Ray Fiennes, who plays this doctor. And once he gets there, there is a discovery that is made, and the kid definitely has to grow up. So it's a coming of age tale set against a zombie apocalypse. However, all of that is great. There is this side plot line that is going along about this character named Jimmy, and the last bit of it gets very strange. And Jimmy is introduced to you in the very start of the movie as this kid who, you know, runs away from a church and is gripping this gold necklace. Then is referenced in carvings of other like zombies. It says Jimmy, and then you'll see these murals that say like, you know, Jimmy and all this kind of stuff. You're like, what's this Jimmy? And at the very last moment, you find out who Jimmy is, and the entire tone and direction and just like cinematography, the color palette, the music, the entire style and tone of the movie takes a complete 180 into like you know, a comic book.
He's a regular human with the big dingus hanging out?
No, so there is a reference in the middle of the movie, and as some of my viewers that are in the comments here, Altopich on Twitch, who said has seen it, I don't know if you caught this as well, but in the middle of the movie when Spike is about to, you know, well, at the beginning, he's packing his things, and he has an action figure, and it's a red Power Ranger, right? And we all know the red Power Ranger. We know Power Rangers. And there's this red Power Ranger, and he obviously has a big an affinity for it, and he wants to take it with him out into the wilderness, but he was like, no, I'm going to leave this red Power Ranger. This very important like figurine in his life. He's like, no, I'm going to set this aside. And then the very last scene of the movie literally was a Power Rangers fight scene. And there were guys in tracksuits, so hero tracksuits. They were all different colors.
Did they do Super Sentai poses?
Yes. And
what?
They're like,
really?
But you know, and they're sawing zombies in half. And the leader of this group is Jimmy, and he's like, "Hey, I kid, hey," and it's a parody of this guy who is a British entertainer, Jimmy Savile, and this guy got into a lot of trouble. He was known for colorful tracksuits. It was kind of based on a guy that lived in real life, which begs the question of like what would happen to pop culture in a world where there is a zombie apocalypse, but you still have access to the internet and all these kind of things. And what, you know, I feel like I understand maybe what he was trying to say, but I thought that the tonal shift of going to a very kind of dark and serious, accurate fight scene sort of zombie movie to a literal Power Rangers fight scene at the end, complete with like snap zooms and like, you know, flip overs and all. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Explosions from nowhere, and then
yeah, it was so strange. And I think that was a very, very poor move that they did for this one to try and set up a sequel. I think if they had continued to make references to this in the same tone, but that tonal shift sucked. And you're also not, I don't think you should start a trilogy in the middle of a trilogy, right? Like, finish this fucking movie first before you start a new trilogy. And I don't know, is this the start of a new trilogy, or is this the end of the first trilogy? I don't know. What are you trying to do here? Like, finish the movie you're trying to make before making another one. And I didn't like that. And I thought that was pretty stupid. There is a sequel that's supposed to be coming out called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which is supposed to be coming out next year because they were filmed around the same time.
A reference to the zombie dog?
That's a reference to my bedroom. But anyway, it's good. It's a good zombie movie up until some of those weird decisions. I thought it was a little lengthy. Wasn't a terrible runtime, but there could have been some pieces that were paced a little bit better. I think I didn't like the Jimmy thing. I think it could have been completely pulled out or added more of. I think that was just not enough to really make that landing at the end stick. So Mark Landry said, on YouTube, Jimmy Savile was a very bad dude. And yes, he got in a lot of trouble. He was a famous entertainer that did some extremely bad things. And that's kind of who they were referencing at the end of this. And it's very strange. Very, 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 very strange. So I don't know how I feel about the ending. The ending makes me not really enjoy the movie as I did until that last 5 minutes. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. So there you go. It's 28 years later. It's in the theaters if you want to see it. I still think that the first one's the best one. I didn't really like the second one too much, and this one didn't have me sold, except for the fact that Ray Fiennes is incredible, and I'll watch him do anything. So there you have it. Yeah.
There you have it.
Oh, Mark Landry on YouTube said he didn't get into any trouble. He died peacefully at home. I thought he did get into some trouble, but yeah, I'm not very well versed on my Jimmy Savile lore. But Al Topich on Twitch says I could have done without the ending as well. I might need to rewatch, knowing the tonal shift is. Yeah, well, I think once you know it. But that's the other thing that I didn't like is all the references to the Jimmy character at the end. I think should have also been in that tone if you were going to blend tones. But anyway, that's just me. So, all right. Well, with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Jake, and he's going to tell you about the movie that he saw.
Yeah, I went and watched the new Apple Studios movie F1, and it is a movie about race cars, driving race cars. Go figure. And you know what? It's not anything super new. It has lots of tropes and cliches, and it's
got the need for speed.
Well,
that's a different movie he directed.
It was brought to you by the man that directed Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, Joseph Kosinski wrote and directed this movie. He directed Top Gun Maverick. He did Oblivion. He did some Taco Bell movie, TV spot, whatever. He did Tron Legacy. Not so great, but Top Gun Maverick and Oblivion, though, A+. Yeah, so it's not on its own anything new or unique or adding new flavor to something, but it's awesome. It nails every bit of what it's supposed to be doing, and there's parts of it where you're like, oh, groan, but then it works out later on. You're like, oh, that part that I hated earlier kind of turned around and got to where it's good now. It's a long movie. It's like a little
2.5 hours.
It's like 2 hours and 36 minutes or something like that.
Whoa!
Does not feel like it. It goes by pretty quick. It goes by
the movie is fast.
As fast as a
slow
F1 car. But it nails everything. Hans Zimmer music is good. The pop music that it has in there is not overbearing. They picked some decent music for it. Brad Pitt is awesome. Javier Bardem, this is one of his roles where I'm not just completely annoyed by the fact that he's on screen, because there's so many times where I'm like, get your big fucking face out of my movie, dude. Come on. Like, No Country for Old Men, I'm just like, every time he's on screen, I'm like, oh, this just drags and I hate it. Or like James Bond, I'm like, get your weird teeth out of here.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many movies where, but he does a great job. At first, the guy that this actor Damson Idris plays, he plays Joshua Pierce. He's the rookie driver that's part of Javier Bardem's team. Because the whole thing is that Brad Pitt is like this washed up dude who's past his prime, but he's still racing for the thrill. And he goes from team to team as they're like
this Karate Kid Legends.
Yeah, he's like their mercenary racer. So he gets brought in for little money, but he always wins in the end, and everyone's like trying to recruit him. And so Javier Bardem's his old teammate from when he raced F1 in the 90s. And he's like, come on, man, come back to F1. We need you. My team's going to fail. It's going to sell if I don't win. I have a rookie who's good, but he just can't get it through his head. And I have this other guy, but I need you. And then Brad Pitt comes and turns it all around for him, and that's the story here is that...
And they win?
Yeah, of course. And they win enough that they win. Like, they're the bottom team, right? They can't win. They've never even finished in the top 10. Their car sucks. Their technical director is a girl. She's the first one ever, and she just sucks. And everyone's like, man, this team just really blows. And if they don't start winning or taking at least getting in the top 10 the next few races, the team's gonna sell. Javier Bardem's gonna lose everything, and they need Brad Pitt to save the team. Apex GP racing against Ferrari and whoever else.
Question from the audience here on Twitch. Velvet Santa asks, is it better than Ford v Ferrari? I really like that one. And then Furious Apology says Ford v Ferrari character development was better, but F1 action was better.
They're the same. They are the same. I don't know that Ford vs. Ferrari character development was better because it was based on real people, and I don't know how much character development you need to have for Carroll Shelby. They were just kind of set as people. This movie gave you fictional characters that they did develop and built, and they made relationships work. They started out where there was friction, and then they became friends, and there was a love story that didn't need to be there, but they weren't trying to shove it down your throat either, so it actually kind of felt okay and wasn't too bad. I thought that everything in this movie nailed it, and it's kind of like a perfect movie in the sense that
That's a big word.
Well, in the sense that it has action, it has drama, it has big cinematic things that like you got to see it in the movie. It has character development. It has some good guys and it has bad guys. It has plot twists that you really don't see coming. It has everything that you would want to go to the movie for.
I'm learning that you really like Joseph Kosinski movies.
No, I like Oblivion. And I like Top Gun
Maverick.
And I like F1.
Okay.
I went to this movie not really caring to go to this movie. I'm like, I guess I'll go watch F1. Because it was either F1 or what else? There was one other movie that came out new. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter.
It was Megan 2.0.
Oh, that was it. I haven't seen the first one. So I went and watched this, and I was like, whatever. I'll go sit through nearly 3 hours of movie with the trailers, which it was 30 minutes of trailers at AMC. And then I ended up really, really, really liking this movie, and I had fun throughout it. And that 2.5 hour runtime flew by with no drags or me being like, oh, when is this movie going to be over? It did not have any kind of pacing issues or problems. It didn't feel like it had crappy editing or anything that just makes the movie be like, this 2.5 hour runtime sucks. It was a fun movie, and you don't have to know anything about racing. It does the Rocky treatment of like, you don't have to know
about boxing,
anything about the sport to be able to go and enjoy the movie, because they give you enough about it and they tell you what they're there for. And it's not like totally focused on like how the racing works of like, well, they need to finish in this place to get this many points to be able to qualify, to be able to be here.
Like cargo fast.
Yeah, they're like, hey, let's start being better. And then they even have like a hero montage in it and everything too. And then it's a good ass movie. And it was not something that I expected at all. And it was great. I had a really, really fun time with it. And I think anyone that just likes to go to the movies would have fun with this, regardless of whether you care about cars or not, whether you need to see a movie in the theater or at home. It's a fun story.
Vince on Twitch asks a really interesting question because this is something I was thinking about too. It says, did they need to call it F1 the movie? Would people think that they were seeing a car? Did we not learn our lesson from Santa Claus the movie?
Yeah.
Or just anything the movie.
I think it was clearly in league with F1. It was executive produced by Lewis Hamilton, who makes a small appearance in the movie. And things like that. There was plenty of product placement in it, but it doesn't feel out of line because it was race teams that are just covered in sponsorships. I think it worked. Furious Apology says that Brad Pitt's character was Superman, effectively unstoppable. Not really. They gave him his weaknesses. They showed you his scars. He started to have some trouble, and there's a there's a reason he goes from race team to race team and all of that. they didn't really do it that way. I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was a fairly flawless movie because it was enjoyable. It was fun. There wasn't one
rad, dude.
There wasn't one part where I was like, well, that's just completely implausible and totally stupid, you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say other than it's what you go to the movies for.
Gotcha.
And it's definitely, I bet whoever said they watched it in IMAX, I bet that was badass. I bet that was so much fun.
Feel the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it is in theaters right now. It's in honestly in a lot less theaters than I thought. It's not even in a full 4,000 theaters nationwide.
Some of those Apple movies, they just get it out there enough so that they can be like, yeah, I mean, look, we did it, you know, and then put it on Apple TV and then wait for award season to roll in.
Well, you can check it out. I think it's a good 4th of July, probably a good 4th of July movie.
It would definitely be a good 4th of July movie.
Like in a fast car, gasoline, and white dudes that are unstoppable.
No, dude, there's the other teammate is a.
I'm talking about Brad Pitt.
Yeah, but his teammate in is a very black British guy.
But they brought in Brad Pitt because he wasn't doing the job.
Well, that's because he's the old guard. He's the old dude. He's the veteran, and this rookie, and he helps him learn. That's the whole thing. Is he comes in, and it's not for his own benefit. He's not there for the money.
He's a fixer.
He's there to enhance the team and help the rookie get started and believe in himself and be confident and learn how to drive better. And all he does is he comes in and he lifts the whole team up. And then
rides off into the sunset
exactly,
like
spoiler,
a cowboy.
Spoiler for the movie, he rides off to Mexico. Just
like Dalton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was fun, man.
Well, with that said, it made all the money, which obviously, if you're keeping up with things. But I think that's a good transition to get into that box office roundup for this week. It's the weekend of June 27th through 29th, 2025. We're going to give you the top 10 movies in America, mostly domestic numbers. If we drop in some worldwide, it's because some of them are in the world and not just domestic. So Jake's going to start with number 10. We'll make our way up to number 1, which we've already revealed. F1, duh. Not much out there.
I also immediately apologize for saying that dude was a very black British guy.
Very
but since well, because he was he was. Yeah, his mom was...
He was dark, dude.
She had an
dark
accent. Yeah, they were like... He was the son of an immigrant from Africa, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Plus, yeah, he was.
All right, well, number 10.
No, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. Number 10, Karate Kid Legends. Get that the hell out of the theaters already. 5 weeks out, $960,000. It has brought in $51.5 million. Another 50.8 elsewhere, so just over 102 million total. Number 9, Ballerina, 4th week out, $2.1 million, brought in at 55.5. Another 49.7.
I think a lot less than they were wanting to.
Yeah, just 105 million total worldwide. For
a John Wick movie barely beating a Karate Kid movie.
A John Wick movie that barely has John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then at number 8, Materialist. If you want to watch Mr. Fantastic and Captain America fight over Madam Web, here you go.
There you go.
$3 million brought in by it, bringing it up to $30.4 million. It's not often that A24 just stumbles, but
yeah.
Here it is. I don't know if that's enough to cover those 3 salaries.
Probably not.
And then at number 7, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, $4.1 million, 6 weeks out, has brought in $186 million, $376 million elsewhere in the world though, bringing up to $562 million. That one would be a good movie to go watch here before it leaves theaters too, because it is a lot of fun. And then number 6, Lilo and Stitch, $6.8 million brought in by that one. 6 weeks out, it brought in $400 million despite nothing but negative reviews and upset fans. Internationally, $546 more million.
Good Lord.
It is
It'll
almost $950 million.
It'll hit the billion club this weekend, I bet.
Yeah, that's true. People, kids are out of. Well, it's summertime. But
Summertime.
Yeah. And then at number 5, 28 years later, wow, big drop from number 2, $9.7 million. And second week out has brought in $50 million. another 52 elsewhere, so just over 100 million for that one so far. And then opening at the number 4 spot, that's not good. Bringing in $10 million, Megan 2.0.
With all the marketing dollars they put into this, I don't think that's what they were hoping for.
No. I mean, and look, the idea of making it T2 is cool.
I mean, the marketing almost got me in the theater, and Steven Seagal might get me into the theater, so we'll see.
I mean, maybe I'll watch the first one at home, and then maybe watch that at some point. And then holding the number 3 spot, Elio, Pixar's worst movie ever, is what they tell you. 10.4 million brought in by it, just under 42 million here in the States. 30 million elsewhere, so 72 million bucks after 2 weeks out. And then at number 2, How to Train Your Dragon, finally dropping from the top spot. 19.6 million, bringing it up to 225, and it's 3 weeks out. Another 256 elsewhere in the world. $456 million so far in less than a month. Dang.
Not bad. How to Train Your Dragon. It should be like How to Train Your Studio Executives to continue to take your money.
And then opening at the number 1 spot, F1 the movie, 57 million bucks, with another 89 million elsewhere across the world where they actually watch F1. Yeah. And so just under 150 million so far.
Now, this was NASCAR the movie? No, we be talking, man. Days of Thunder, baby.
They do talk about Indy racing for just a hot sec.
I hate NASCAR. That's just me, though. I think it's boring. Just driving in a fucking circle. You go, yeah, but they're going so fast, dude. I'm like, okay.
All racing is boring, dude. Yeah. The only racing that's not boring is
rally racing.
Yeah, rally cross.
Yeah, rally cross.
Rally
like
cross
Dakar.
is cool.
Yeah, the Dakar is awesome.
Well, the Dakar is like, it takes place over like a week, and it's just guys driving across the desert.
Yeah, it's badass.
That's dumb. Highlights might be cool, but rally cross is sick. They do like 4 or 5 laps maximum, and they go at it faster than like anything, and it's part street, part off-road. They have to take a joker lap, which is like in that 4 or 5 laps, they have to take one that's longer or shorter, just a wonky lap to do it. And it's over in like 2 or 3 minutes. They go, and you're like, all right, that guy wins. And if the cars get shredded and fall apart, they'll finish on 3 wheels. Like, they just keep driving. Rally cross is fun racing to watch. Everything else, it's like, why would I watch 70 laps of F1 or 200 laps of NASCAR? Like, yeah, it's any lap racing for the most part is super boring.
Well, so on that note, that's our show. We've crossed the finish line. We are done. There is a small possibility we will not be here next week because of the holiday season. I've got my team wanting me to do a lake day at the lake house. So if you want to come out to the lake, we will have a place.
I will be at work on a Monday
night. There we go. So
didn't we just talk about Friday the 13th? Why would I go to a lake at night? Yeah.
Anyway, well, all right, guys. Well, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, you can always follow along at home. You can like and subscribe wherever it is you like to find our podcast, be it Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or on Twitch. We have a Discord out there as well. All of those links are available on our link tree, driveinspeakerbox.com. So send us a message over there. Jump into that Discord. It's fun. There's all this chat here. All of our Twitch viewers are very active. Earlier in the pre-show, they were sharing all their Letterboxd accounts to, like, you know, they can share movie ratings and all that stuff. So get in there. Happy 4th of July. Enjoy burgers. Enjoy hot dogs.
Come back to the next show with all your fingers.
Yes, definitely do that. Fireworks safety. Watch some good movies. And we'll see you next week.
See you then.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.